We're going to get the intake manifold installed. All the electrical hooked up, fuel lines. I'm going to leave the front of the engine off because I want to be able to work on the power steering reservoir and pump, get that all cleaned out for a steering rack and pinion replace because it's leaking like a sieve. We'll get the air compressor pump mounted. Replace all of the hoses because these things are original, and go back down underneath, get the drive shaft installed, button up any of the other things that I didn't tighten up, maybe get the exhaust manifolds installed, and then crank it over to build oil pressure. I know some people say that's not the way to do it, but actual recommended way of doing it, authorized recommended way of doing it, is actually cranking it over with the spark plugs out with no load and building oil pressure that way. I already primed a pump. We're going to fill all the fluids like oil and transmission fluid, and we're just going to crank it over and build oil pressure. So we got a lot of stuff to do today, and come on along. All right, the intake manifold's pretty filthy. We're going to go through, clean that up. There's little baffles, I guess, to keep critters out, but we'll go through, clean everything. We'll stay away from the injectors, right, on both sides up here. We'll just kind of clean the outside of it. All right, cleaning the outside is one thing. We still got to get inside the runners, and these things are pretty bad. But we'll get in there and hit them up with some brake clean. Maybe even take the throttle body off if I have a gasket in the master gasket kit. And it seemed like this had a problem with the oil consumption. Once I tilted this over, a bunch of oil came out. So, all right, we got the outside clean, but the inside is filthy. So we're gonna clean the inside of that out. We'll let the sun dry it off. We'll continue to drive on with doing some other things inside the engine bay. Maybe put the starter in, stuff like that. All right, we're gonna hang the AC pump. It has 4 bolts. I left one of them in because it was kind of hard to take it. You can't take it out. You can't take the bolt out of the pump unless you remove it, you know, all the way out of the way, if that makes sense. So we got 2 different size bolts, 4 bolts total. You got 2 short, 2 long. You got 1 long boss up front here. Okay. the bolt. There we go. So the way it looks is two bolts, two long bolts up front, or maybe three long bolts total. Yeah, three long bolts total, and it, you know, the short bolt goes towards the back. All right, I'm gonna get the power steering pump out of the way. So we'll pull the pump to cooler line off. Or try to. And then on the high pressure side, pump to gear is a 16 mil and a 19 mil. I got a new one of these, so I could probably just get away with cutting that off. You know, if it's I had loosened this up earlier, but if this thing's turning out to be a pain to get off, then I'm just going to cut it, since I got a all new lines also. The only thing I don't like about this body style is it's hard to put tools up because they want to roll off because it's on an angle. They're, you know, like workspace, you know what I mean? They don't have a built-in work table. I guess because it's a Chevy Silverado and they rarely break down, right? So why would you need a built-in work table if you don't have to work on it? All right, we'll let that drain out. Snatch the mount and the pump. All right, and then we're gonna focus our attention onto the battery. Perhaps you got a good no, maybe not. I don't know if the AC line's going to be in the way. I'll just have to put you back down on the frame. But yeah, we're going to put the starter back in. So you have to plug the crank position sensor in first, then the starter with the signal wire and the battery cable, and then the oil pressure level sensor. So you can't just hook up sensors first. You got to put the crank position and sensor in first, and then the starter, and then the oil level sensor. You know, sometimes mistakes are made. This goes on or behind the starter, right? So this bolts up to the engine, and then you slide the starter into the hole. So we got to take the starter back out, put this in. It's going to be a good time for me to put the oil pan bolts, well, these little covers that go on the transmission, right? So this goes on the driver's side. This one goes on the passenger side starter, so I'm going to clean that up, pull the starter, and then there's a bolt that holds the wiring harness to the front of the engine block. Can't really see it, but up against the engine block where the transmission cooling lines and then the wiring harness for the starter and the other sensors bolt up to the engine block. We got to get that situated too. I may or may not have the gasket for this, but this thing is so filthy that I got to get a little bit more aggressive with it. So we're going to pull the throttle body off. Go. All right. So really all we got left underneath of the vehicle is the drive shaft. Yeah, look at that. Let's see if I got that gasket. Perhaps I do. I can pull these other sensors. Let's put the hardware back on. I'm going to go around and tear the rest of the stuff down. All right, we got it stripped down for the most part. I didn't have to take the clips off of the injectors. And I think the master kit has the fuel injection O-rings. Perhaps. Maybe upper and lower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 and 8. So we may have upper and lower O-rings for the injectors. We got this, like I said, somewhat stripped down. We'll put these back in, and then I'll be able to get in there and aggressively clean the throttle body and the intake manifold. I'll show you what it looks like down inside there. Let's get a light. Right, kind of gummed up. Same with these runner. You looking at it? No, you can't see that. Right, trust me though, it's pretty carboned up. Would it be cheaper to buy a new intake manifold or take the time to actually get in there and clean it up? All right, so that's something to think about. And are these things available? All right, so we're going to focus our attention on fuel injection. The upper, make sure you have your upper seals and your lower seals. Yeah, we'll lube these up. We're supposed to lube them up anyway. So I just need to find something to lube them up with. There it is. There we go. Goes right in. You might have some residual gas inside of the fuel rails. You know, so when you take one out, kind of like try to drain it out as much as you can. You know, and having it sit like this, it's gonna, you can see where this is clean. The fuel, when I pulled it out, it came out. I dumped this side out pretty good. Thought I got this one, but no big deal. Anyway, we'll lube up these bottom seals. And then put it onto our intake manifold. The cheapest one I found was $167. So take 2 hours cleaning. The old one, you know, how much is your time worth, right? Set the rail off to the side and go get our intake manifold. Get cleaned up pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get air and blow out any other things that I can find in there. So stand by. All right, fuel rail inlet and return is going to be on the driver's side. All right. And the way these things are angled, I don't know if you could. Yeah, there is a potential to put it on backwards. All right, so inlet and return on the driver's side. That went in like butter. All right, we get everything kind of lined up. We just wiggle it, get it seated. There we go. Get the other side. Let me get the various sensors and things put back in. All right, we'll get the fuel rail snug down. All right, we ain't got to kill it. Vacuum line to the regulator. Goes on one way, you can't mix it up. And we Yeah. Maybe I should have lubed that one. Yeah, let's. Okay. Much better. I think that's it. All right, we can put the intake mat. Well, we still got to get that seal. All right, we still got to get this seal out. Or O-ring. I guess the idea would be to not stretch it when you're putting it in. Alright, we still gotta scrub up the valve body, not valve body, the throttle body. Alright, that's still kind of caked up. We'll just hit it with some of this carb cleaner and let it soak and scrub it down. All right, that's a lot better. That's sealing up too. So what I'm saying is there's no debris on this butterfly or whatever you want to call it. Okay, make sure that surface is clean, then we'll get it put onto our intake manifold. All right, let's move our attention onto the intake. We got our knock sensor wire. We'll put that, that's gonna, well, let me show you on the back of the, so it's going to loop out and attach itself up here. There it is, up here. So the wire's got to come from underneath and up here. So that's how we're going to route the knock sensor. That's the only wire that really comes from underneath. So we can take that, put that up out of the way. A little bit better than that, I guess. Yeah, that should do it. Maybe. Yeah, like that. Okay. Coil wires, injector wires. Get everything pretty much tucked up out of the way so we're not fighting against the wire loom, and this should go in reasonably well. I think I might want to front load the PCV valve hose. And a question is, do we baffle or not to baffle? All right, you know, it looks kind of grungy. If we flip it over, it looks a little bit better. All right, so do we put the baffles on the intake or not? Are they needed? I see people remove them. I don't know if I want this garbage on a new engine, so I think I'm going to leave them out. Oh, I'm looking for the hoses. All right, I kind of hid them on myself. All right, so we put our PCV valve hose on. Okay, swing that out to the side. And then our brake booster. Which goes right there. I'll get the clamp tightened up. There are several butt firsts, right? Let's not forget to remove the tape You got the air hose here. I forgot we gotta clean down the, it might help to turn the air on. We gotta clean down the intake manifold bolts, put those in, and then set it on top. All right, let's get the intake manifold gaskets on. I guess this is the old design. They have like a new and improved, which would be on a steel. Which would be a steel gasket. All right, there's these little notches that go inside little areas on the intake. Okay, and then the intake manifold bolts have to get pressed through the gasket also. I guess. Okay, no, it's not as critical as I thought. Okay. All right. That does not... I don't like that. Hey, you see that air gap? But I guess if it's pressing down, it's... Where are you looking? Let's just break it off, right? Oh man, what a rookie move. No worries. And the good part about it is it's all the way towards the back of the engine. All right, I'm not doing that again. I think I can get away with putting that in and being all right, because that's not a sealing surface. It just holds the two together. All right, don't do that. Let's get the tape off. Make sure we don't leave any tape residue behind. Or drop any tape residue down the intake. Man, it's a little extreme. Okay. All right, you get the idea, all right?